Spin it. Here we are. We're live. All right. Hey, welcome everyone. I'm Brian Horney here with Reginald Andre. We are now at episode number 4 for Security Squawk. And we are in between the weird week of Christmas and New Year's. I'm actually broadcasting from my house because I am trying to lay low this week from out of the office. I had a good good Christmas. Andre, how was your Christmas?
No, it was awesome. I went to visit some family in Tampa and Naples, so it was really fun.
Nice. Naples, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the weather like over there this time?
It was cold, man. It was like in the 60s, like freezing.
Oh, geez. We actually haven't been that bad here. We've been in the 40s, 50s, got up to like 60 yesterday. It was a couple weeks ago. It was like 15 degrees was the high. So anything interesting happened this week in your business?
No, it's actually been a little slow this week. Everybody is off for the holidays, so it's pretty slow this week.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We got into the hard drive pulverizing business, I guess. So we have a new toy in the office where we pulverize hard drives. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't just throw your equipment in the dumpster, right?
Right.
People might not know that. Don't throw your hard drives and your computers in the dumpster, folks. Make sure you dispose of them properly. So we've probably accumulated a lot of drives over the years and paid companies to do that for us. So we decided it was a smart investment to purchase one and handle that ourselves. So pretty cool device. So other than that, I don't think I have anything exciting. It is that week between Christmas and New Year's. I'm not even in the office, so I don't have my ear to the ground in terms of what's going on in the office. How often do you get out of the office?
Well, prior to COVID, I would actually purposely work out of the office. I would like work at a local coffee shop because when I'm in the office, it's always like, hey Andre, like all of these questions. But when I'm out of the office, nobody asks me any questions. They figure it out on their own. So I actually, it's not a WeWork, but it's kind of just like a local coffee shop, and they allow people to work there. Mm-hmm. And as long as you're buying drinks and, the breakfast and the lunch, they don't mind you just, working out of there. So I've actually started to go back, but I try my best not to come to the office because as soon as I come to the office, everybody just leans on me and wants to ask dozens of questions.
So is it possible for you to institute something like orange cone time? Do you know what orange cone time is?
No.
All right. So orange cone time is, and to give credit where credit is due, this came from Robin Robbins.
Okay.
Who, if you're in our industry, I'm pretty sure you know who she is. But orange cone time is essentially what she used to do when it was like that in her office, and I instituted something similar, except I didn't put an orange cone outside the door of my office. I just notified people and told them, like, from this time to this time, don't bother me. But that was really the way I did my orange cone time. But essentially, you either shut your door or put an orange cone outside of it, or put an orange cone outside your door. And that signals to people to not come in and bother you. Like, you need time to do the things that you need to do in the business and can't be interrupted. And was kind of the suggestion. If you were ever part of Robin Robbins' group, that's a pretty common tactic that they teach. So people can pull their heads out of the business and work on the business. Is that something that you think could fly at your business, or people would just walk right through it.
No, that would fly. But I also like the fact that like when I'm outside of the office, the creativity flows. I'm like focus, offline mode. Because even we have thin walls here. Sometimes I'm even hearing the conversations that the employees are having, and then I'm like, no, and then I start micromanaging. So it's kind of like I step out and let them, for the most part, make their mistakes, if you want to call it that, and then let them learn and let them grow.
That's exactly why I'm not in the office this week. It's the meetings got canceled. Obviously a lot of the meetings in the groups that we're in together, we're not having those. So pretty much all my meetings that I normally have throughout the week have been, not, canceled or not scheduled. So yesterday I just played catch up, a lot of end of year stuff, getting things out of the way that I need to get done for end of the year, paperwork, getting things ready for taxes. I'm switching benefits companies and payroll companies at the beginning of the year. So getting that paperwork knocked out. There's a couple other things I had to deal with in terms of payroll and stuff like that. But it's all stuff that I knew that I needed to get done. And I just pushed it to that day because I knew that Monday would be the perfect day for that because I wouldn't have a lot going on. And then the rest of the week, I'm hanging out with my family, especially like I told you after I get off this call. That's it for me. So let's jump into some cool stuff that happened this week anyway, and let's stop talking about us and our lives. So you brought to my attention this article on Amazon Ring and the cameras where it looks like people are going after Amazon because they own Ring now for hacks, and the headline says that it led to threats and racial slurs. Now I know I have these devices. I don't think you can talk through the doorbells. You can, right? You can talk through the doorbells, right?
Yeah, because you could. Yeah, you can. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So you can talk through the doorbells, and then you can also talk through the cameras.
Yes, correct.
So a class action lawsuit claims weak security allowed hackers to take over the smart cameras used on doorbells and in homes. Now, I know I have a video on my YouTube channel. It's actually one of the first videos I think I ever did last spring, where I talked about this. And I basically talked about, and I don't know if that's what this article goes into talking about, but I talked about how, who's to blame, because you're supposed to put two-factor on, your Ring account. And I know at the time when I was talking about the specific incidents that happened, none of the users had two-factor turned on their account. So these hackers were able to use basically passwords that were already out on the dark web to compromise these Ring accounts. So why don't you tell us what's in this article that you sent over to me? Does it sound similar to that, or are you seeing something different? And then what is it that, they're upset about, and what are they trying to get from Amazon?
Yeah, well, basically the attorneys are going after the money. They're salivating over this case. They have recordings of the actual, let's just say someone's daughter in the room, and all of a sudden they start having conversations about telling the daughter to come closer to the camera and, what are you wearing, and creepy stuff like that. You had another case where a family's watching TV, and then now someone's saying, hey, what's going on? What are you watching? So apparently some people, they suffered where they moved out of their house. They were so terrified. They lived by themselves, and then they went back to go live with their parents because they were just so traumatized. So now these attorneys are saying, well, we have 15 families, and what other families are out there that this has happened to, so that we can do a class action lawsuit. And essentially they're blaming Amazon for or Ring for not having enough security controls. Apparently Ring has never told them how this happened, who it was, what country these people are from, have you fixed the issue? So they're being tight-lipped about it, and now they're just trying to get some more information.
Yeah, so I just threw it up on the screen there, and as you were saying, this is a screen cap of them in the living room watching TV, and somebody starts talking to them on, I guess, their camera. It looks like it's in the corner of their house, and they were probably using it as a security camera.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are your thoughts here? Do you think that, do you think Amazon needs to be worried? Do you think that they're just lawyers out for settlement? Because I know this has been going on for some time.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely what Amazon is probably going to start doing is enforcing the two form factor, but an investigation
I
doesn't.
think they already have.
Oh, okay. So they have, okay, because I know Nest still hasn't. The other day I was even on my phone and they reminded me to do it, but it wasn't necessary. It wasn't like
yeah, I'm pretty sure. I am pretty sure that they have two factor now.
okay.
So, it doesn't really matter who, it's probably going to end up if enough lawyers and enough people are pursuing this, Amazon's eventually, going to end up paying to have it go away, because it's going to cost them too much money to keep the lawsuit going than it would for them just to pay it off, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then a bunch of lawyers get paid, and all the victims get absolutely nothing. Maybe they get a free Ring camera, or whatever. So, but this, from what I think about when I see things like this is, whether or not you own the product or not. If you're a small business that might install cameras, or you have cameras in your business, or really it doesn't matter what kind of product it is. This is the type of stuff that happens, especially with technology today, that if you don't make sure that you're securing things, you're opening yourself up to lawsuits from all different kinds of places. And I think that's the bigger takeaway for me is, Ring, or Amazon bought Ring. Ring created what a lot of people consider to be a really good and easy to use product. But at the same time, they didn't force their users to use a certain level of security. They didn't implement standards within their business, and they allowed the end user to choose what the standard was.
Mm-hmm.
And now everybody's pointing their fingers at Amazon, saying you didn't do enough to protect these devices and protect these accounts. And Amazon just wants to say, well, we left the choice up to you. And then that begs a question. Being companies like ours in our industry and the services that we provide, I view it, and I view our company, and I kind of carry ourselves as such, with the thought that if something happens to one of our clients, that those fingers are getting pointed directly and squarely at us. And that's why I've debated about this with a lot of people in our industry. And it came up the other day, as whether somebody's following your process or you're letting them, following theirs, right? And having standards and having a process within your business, and making sure that the people that you're supplying goods and services to, or you're working with, they're your vendor and they're supplying you with a service, making sure that whole supply chain is adhering to similar standards when it comes to security is extremely important these days, because it really doesn't matter who you entrust with security. you have to make sure that you're setting the standard and say this is the bar. We're setting the bar, and this is what you have to meet. If you leave it in the hands of most people are going to pick the easiest way possible for them. If you don't kind of step up the standards, and that's kind of how I look at this event that you brought to my attention earlier today, in that, this is a supply chain issue. This is, you allow the customer, who is part of the security supply chain, you allow the customer to be the one who decides how secure their account is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had we've gotten rid of every single client who's ever refused to accept the fact that they don't get admin rights. Now, we work with companies and we figure out ways that they can have admin rights. We're not as harsh to say you can never have it, but there's going to be certain things put in place in order for them to get the admin rights. If they have trained staff that are properly trained and certified, and we feel like they are, good enough to have that level of access, then, with certain agreements in place, we'll give them that access. In the same respect, if a CEO who is a lawyer comes at me and says, I own this company, I've been in business for 25 years, I want admin rights to my systems, we'll educate them first. And if they still don't see, why they shouldn't have these rights, then we either make them sign a liability basically release where we're not responsible for anything, even though they're paying us for that, which I think is ridiculous. And number two, we're going to end up getting rid of them as a client because the risk is then too great to our business, where, like I said, if something were to happen to them, we're still getting the finger pointed at us.
Yeah.
And that's, as you can see here, the customers of Amazon, they were the ones, in my opinion, who are at fault. That they want to point the finger at Amazon saying, nobody ever told us.
Right.
Which, is common in our business. And if you don't adhere to some level of standard, you're going to end up in the same position as Amazon. And the other thing too is, we haven't heard much about SolarWinds. We haven't even talked about SolarWinds, right? And we haven't heard much about SolarWinds. And we talked before we hit record on the show today, and kind of, mentioned that, things got tight-lipped, probably because of the government and everything who was involved. And I agree with that. And I don't think a lot of private companies want to come out and say it. I know a couple of things I can share that I know that are kind of newer developments this week. We've had a lot of clients come at us with questionnaires from like their vendors, people that they have bigger companies that they have contracts with, where those companies are sending them questionnaires, asking them if they use SolarWinds and, how are you detecting for the tools, FireEye tools, and, anything like that. So we've had to fill out questionnaires on behalf of our clients. So that's unprecedented. We've never had to fill out anything like that before for any of our clients' businesses. When a breach happens, and then get a questionnaire, do you use these tools? That's never happened before. And then the other thing is that there's a slew of law firms who are kind of out there, press releases or whatever you want to call it, are out there saying that they're going to sue, or they're opening an investigation against SolarWinds. My guess would be that they have one or many clients that use SolarWinds tools that have gone to these attorneys, and now these attorneys are like, okay, we're representing this company, that company, that company. And, we're probably going to find out who these companies are if this ever ends up in court. My guess is a lot of this stuff is never going to end up in court, and we're never going to find out who most of the customers were. So, which is probably a good thing. There's a lot of information out there already, which is, not great. So do you have anything to add on the SolarWinds stuff besides what I just added there?
No, nothing else. I guess this is the time to go buy the domain solarwindslawsuit.com or something, you know.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way because there are a ton of there are a ton of lawyers coming out saying that they're opening up an investigation. But it appears that most people are jumping on board with the fact that it was Russia who were the perpetrators of this, and I don't want to minimize anything here, but people need to understand, and I do talk about it in my YouTube videos on my channel about what the Russians are up to, but the United States is not the only country that these guys are hitting. They're hitting tons of countries around the world besides the United States. United States is a huge target, but Finland got hit, and we see the same type of activity. They're reading emails. They're getting into people's email accounts and reading emails. This is just a huge mass information gathering campaign. This is not, as of right now, it doesn't appear to be like a malicious event where they're launching ransomware attacks and things like that. This is, what we see over and over is they're just sitting on accounts and sitting on networks and sitting inside of email accounts, reading information. And then Norway disclosed a similar incident this fall as well. So, I wanted to just share that with everyone because everything in the news and everything, especially in the United States, that you're going to see is going to be everybody that got hacked here. And we really need to take a look at Russia and what the heck these guys are doing and why they're doing it and why they're doing it at the rate that they're doing it at. The world needs to come back together and, in my opinion, and figure this out and figure out how we're going to handle this and what we're going to do. Because the reality of it is that we could put just as many resources as they are to doing this, but what good is going to come out of it? You know what I mean? So, that's my 2 cents on the issue. We will eventually shut this down and it will eventually slow down. It will not be at this rapid pace once we focus our attention on it. But Russia isn't doing anything anyone else couldn't do. They just have a massive amount of resources being poured into it. Why that is, I have no idea. Like I said, if we wanted to do it, we could do just the same and do just as much quote unquote damage as they're doing, in my opinion. So, so other than that, so that's really it for SolarWinds. Not a whole lot out there. We'll probably hear more beginning to middle of January. So,
and one more thing I wanted to mention about the ring. A few pointers was that this is why it's important. Like we talk about standards, like for example, we may have to do like a password reset in our company for a client. And, a lot of times the client may just say, oh, just make it password or make it, October or something like that. And, that's one of the things we always explain to them is like, no, that can't be your password. And then even if the system will allow it, we then blame it. We just tell the client, nope, that it's not going to accept it. And I even see now Microsoft is doing that where when for Office 365, when the user is resetting their password and they're putting in their new password twice, they are actually doing dictionary checks to see. And Microsoft is now even saying, we're not going to allow you to use this as your new password for your Office 365. So I think that's important too, about the standards and make it.
I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's what I said earlier is that people need to understand that we are no longer in a place and time where we can put the onus of the security in the hands of an end user or let them be the decider on what the security level is going to be. It just doesn't work, and it's been proven over and over. So,
Yeah.
Employees and users that don't like security, don't get upset about it. Just understand that that's where we live right now. And until something gets invented where things can be made easier, and the security is still in place, then I'm sure it'll be adopted very quickly. But until then, this is what we know, and this is how we protect ourselves. So,
yep.
All right. So you brought this one up, so I'm going to let you take it from here. But hackers, they must have got their hands on some photos of celebrity. They must have hacked into a plastic surgeon's office somewhere in California. I'm going to take a wild guess. But I guess they got plastic surgery photos.
Mm-hmm.
So this brings up a whole host of issues. So why don't you tell us what's going on, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah. So this is it was actually in UK, but it's their version of California. Okay. And so they've had different celebrities actually endorse this company, and essentially hackers were able to go into their database, their file share, their server, and be able to get 900 gigabytes. That is a lot of photos, 900 gigabytes, almost a terabyte of data. And now they're telling this, it's called the Hospitality Group. That's the name of the plastic surgery center. They have 11 clinics throughout the UK. And they're basically saying, if you don't pay us the ransom, we are going to leak these photos online. So that's going to be a big problem, because sometimes you do have people that do plastic surgery. They may want to be discreet about it. I mean, who wants to, if you had plastic surgery at this location, who wants to be where someone Googles your name and they click on images and now they see your before and after pictures. We're talking about nose jobs, breast enhancements, clips, nips, everything. So it's potentially that it can all be out there.
These are always my favorite statements. Whoever has the crafty statements after your system gets breached, I mean, they really need to do a better job in school of teaching these, because they come out, yep, we've been breached, and then they go, but none of our patients' payment card details have been compromised. But at this stage, we understand that some of our patients' personal data may have been accessed. I mean, I can get a new credit card number. I'm not so sure I want my breast augmentation or my weight loss surgery pictures posted on the internet. I assume, I don't know, I probably should know this, but I don't. I would assume that UK has something similar to HIPAA.
Yeah.
Going to cause, issues there with, I guess, this Group 11, the hospital's Group 11 clinics. What's the name of the hospital group?
That's their name. It's called the Hospitals Group.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Those groups 11. Okay. So I would imagine that they're going to have some dealings with the UK government at some point. And again, we're Revel, who are Russians. They're not the Russians that took out the SolarWinds, but they're a private Russian hacking group. I've talked about Revel on my YouTube channel, and Revel is just insanely good with stealing information and then holding it for ransom.
Yeah. And this hospital group, they're in a big predicament right now, because they have their cybersecurity insurance and probably their law enforcement, that's the investigative agency in that country, saying, don't pay the ransom, because if you pay the ransom, you're just fueling the fire. Revel's going to continue going after more hospital group or more clinics and etc. Then on another side, you have patients that are saying, look, my my wife, my family doesn't know I did this. I don't want this public that I had this plastic surgery, or this is something that is so sensitive that I don't want the world to notice. And they're probably telling hospital group, you need to do whatever you got to do to make sure that my photos don't come online. And then who's to know if hospital group pays the ransom, who's to know that Revel doesn't come back and says, hey, you know what, thanks for the $5 million, but we kind of blew it, and we need another $1 million.
Yeah, I talk about that all the time. I'm at the point where I believe that insurance companies need to stop paying, because they're creating the marketplace for this.
Yeah.
They really are. I mean, they are impacting the ability for companies to think clearly about how they should handle cybersecurity, when you're basically saying to companies like, this will be your get out of jail free card if you get hacked.
Mm-hmm.
And then now the insurance companies are like, whoa, this is a bigger problem, and we don't know if this is a sustainable business model for us, because we're paying out so much on the ransom.
Right.
It's like, well, based on my life experience on how insurance works, it's only a matter of time before an industry or a business can't get cyber insurance, or not only that, they're going to write out the ransomware payment out of the cyber insurance policy. Mm-hmm. So you'll have cyber insurance, but it's not going to include the payment for the ransomware.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that's kind of where things are at. I mean, they want to look at everything that you're doing in terms of security before they will write you a policy now. That's one step, I guess, in the right direction, but continuing to pay the ransom and to pay these criminals they don't pay criminals when your house gets robbed. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. That is a good point.
They bust in your house. They don't write a check to the robber and say, here you go, give me all the stuff back. I mean, right. They write it to the homeowner so the homeowner can replace the stuff. But they don't enrich the person who robbed you, and that's what I don't understand about why they're going about this. I mean, your car gets stolen, if you hit somebody with a car, it's not like, they may cover your car to get fixed, but the person you hit, it wasn't their fault and they were the victim, their car is getting fixed by your insurance company. They're not going to have to pay anything. So I don't know. If it's ever going to stop. I imagine it will. I've been reading articles myself about this for insurance companies, and a lot of insurance companies are saying, like, this is just not a profitable product for us. And unless they get in the business of scrutinizing people's IT security practices, which I doubt they're going to do, they're just going to stop covering things like ransomware payments, or they're just not going to give you cyber insurance. And, your only choice is going to be to reduce your risk and to do cybersecurity properly.
Yeah.
Your choices are going to get slim. And I kind of agree with that, because the criminals and the people that you're paying the money to are not good people. And there's a lot of good businesses and good charities and good organizations out there that, that money could be used in those places and not sent halfway around the world to criminals.
Yeah.
So let's jump into our last topic of the day, which it's holiday time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some companies like to pay bonuses at holiday time. And our friends over at GoDaddy decided that they were going to send out a phishing test and promise holiday bonuses. Now, you showed this to me, and I immediately came to mind. I thought that this happened before. or something similar happened many years ago, and employees ended up suing.
Oh wow.
So ended up suing the company. Um, so I don't remember the exact if it was a phishing test or um, if it was something else, but I do remember a while, and I feel like this was many, many years ago, like more than 5 years ago, where uh, they got a message about bonuses or something like that, and um, the company was like, "Oh, it was just a test or a fish test or something like that,"
Mhm.
and then a bunch of employees sued. So tell us what's going on here. What's going on at GoDaddy? What did they do?
Well, the thing is that people are calling it, phishing test is one thing, but you're going to send out a phishing test during a pandemic when GoDaddy apparently they laid off a lot of staffers, they reduced a lot of hours. So like, these people are hurting, and then now you like how like whose head is going to roll there because someone didn't think about maybe this is not the best time to joke like this. Now, apparently, they had a huge click rate, so a lot of people did fail the test, but nevertheless, it was just really at the end of the day, it was just insensitive. They're right for sending out a phishing test, but this is just not the proper words to say.
So they did it, and then it says 2 days later, around 500 GoDaddy employees were informed that no bonuses were coming, and they'd failed the corporate phishing test. GoDaddy's chief security officer, Demetrius Combs, wrote in the follow-up email that failing employees will need to retake the security awareness social engineering training. All right, so see, I come on a very prejudicial side of the fence here because this is the stuff that I preach, right? I don't want to hear about COVID, or I don't want to hear the holidays as an excuse for failing a phishing test, because this is what we train employees in awareness training, is that you're most susceptible during these times of the year. You're most susceptible during the holidays. You're more susceptible when COVID's going on. And these criminals use this type of messaging to hopefully get you to do something that they don't want you doing. And as you mentioned, it went over very well. People thought they were getting bonuses, and a lot of people filled it out. And obviously we don't get to see the email, right? So
No.
how
Yeah,
bad was it? Was it, did it come from a legitimate GoDaddy email address? Really, like, how bad was the email? Or were there very telltale signs that this was a phishing attempt and people just blew right through it? I mean, I hope this doesn't turn out into like these employees thinking that they can sue this company, because I believe GoDaddy's doing right by security, and I commend their security officer, Mr. Combs, for doing this, because this is the perfect example of how hackers operate. They will use these times, and they will use certain events to try to get you to click on things and to get you to give them information. So that's how I see it. I say kudos. I say good job. This is the stuff you need to be doing. If you're upsetting your employees, you're probably doing something right. Because that's just how it is. Now, what do you agree, disagree?
I looked at the other side. I actually looked at it as it's very insensitive, but you're absolutely right. And the fact that we saw what happened with SolarWinds, apparently there was something internal may have happened. And GoDaddy, they manage what? Emails, they manage SharePoint, domains. I mean, this is like the keys to the kingdom.
Right.
And if you can get one employee's information to then do backdoor stuff, then there you go. The company's gone. They're gonna be there. So
and you think about it on the other side. Like, what if this wasn't a phish attempt and it was an actual phishing email from? And then GoDaddy did end up getting hacked. And then they come out and they say one of our employees fell for a phishing attempt by a Russian hacker who sent them an email saying that they were getting a holiday bonus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's a whole different script, and everybody's going, well, how could GoDaddy let that happen?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Now,
Right.
I just sent you a link. I don't know if you can bring it up. According to this, somebody posted how it looked on Twitter. And
where did you send it to me at?
Oh, on the private chat of StreamYard.
Okay.
So they did a screenshot of apparently how it looked. If you go to the bottom.
Okay. This is the holiday party one?
Yeah. Which is talking about the bonus, yeah. We know for our audio, we have a lot of people on the podcast, so we'll just have to.
But we don't get to see the headers.
Oh, scroll down a little more.
Wait, happy holiday at GoDaddy.com. It came in on the day before Christmas. GoDaddy holiday party. Happy holiday, GoDaddy. I mean, the word just saying happy holiday, that would be enough for me.
Yeah. And scroll a little more down. Then somebody else posted a screenshot right there. Again, I'm not sure how accurate it is, but
right. And it came from HR at kappaZnews.com.
Yeah. So
this phishing attempt is so funny and so sad.
Unless that's not related to the GoDaddy. So
no. This has to do with TriPub.
Okay.
Company, but still, though we cannot celebrate together during our annual holiday party, we want to show our appreciation and share a $650 one-time holiday bonus. To ensure that you receive your one-time bonus in time for the holidays, please select your location and fill in the details by Friday, December 18th. Any submittals after the cutoff will not be accepted, and you will not receive the one-time bonus. Free money, claim it now. We look forward to something. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does GoDaddy typically send emails like that? Like, and the fact that it just says Happy Holiday GoDaddy, like most people say Happy Holidays.
Right. So
yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good, but it doesn't really matter if it looks good or bad. You got to train your employees on what to look for, because this stuff happens, and you're gonna sit here and you're gonna say it'll never happen to my company, it'll never happen to me, and then stupid little things like this are what employees fall for, and they end up in a lot of trouble, and people get hacked, and we still don't know how SolarWinds went down. That could have went down through a phishing email, or it could have been a compromised employee, or it could have been somebody who managed to upload, a modified code base into their update server. Who the heck knows? But we're going to find out one day. We're going to know. And how funny would it be if it's just somebody got in through a phishing email?
Right. Yeah.
Get, a certain level of network access, like they did when we called the Twitter employees and were able to, take over the Twitter accounts and have Bitcoin sent to them. So that's it, my friend. This is our last podcast for 2020. I know we just got started about a month ago, but I look forward to doing this every week for the next 52 weeks.
Yeah.
Time next year, we'll be at episode 56 or so.
Yeah.
So, but I look forward to it. I think today's topics were good. It all has to do with businesses and how businesses need to think about these security challenges. I think we do a good job of relating, the actual business challenge to the technical problem. Yes, this is all happening. It's all technical. It's all stuff that happens on computers and internet. And a lot of business owners think I hire people to handle that stuff for me. That can't be your attitude anymore. And we're trying to bring that awareness to people and make them understand, like, this is how these things are going to impact your business. And it's not just a computer goes down. It's going to be lawsuits. It's going to be PR things. It's going to be, having to deal with regulators and governments and insurance companies and investigators, lawyers who act as investigators. So the web from cybersecurity, from an event, spins very quickly. And I don't think businesses are fully aware of that. It's not, like I said, it's not about just computers going down. So keeping that awareness out there and making sure that, if we can get, 52 CEOs to start having discussions about cybersecurity in their meetings, in their quarterly meetings with their teams on a more regular basis than they are today, then I'll consider this a success, because that's my goal, is to, if we can get one CEO a week to listen and hear things from our perspective and make a change in how they're doing things in their business, that's my goal for what we're doing here. So, yeah. So I wish you a happy new year, my friend.
Likewise.
See you in 2021. Have anything else that you would like to add before we sign off for this episode?
No, we're good, man.
All right, man. All right. Happy New Year, everyone. We'll see you all in 2021. Thanks for listening.
All right.